Alright, today we're taking a look at some instructions on Word for LT7, the periodic table. So under the first add, if you are able to print off the periodic table and you have markers or colored pencils or crayons and you just want to color it by hand, that's perfectly acceptable. You can do that. If that's not an option for you, if you prefer to take a look at what I'm doing on Word, then this video is for you. So first, we're going to take a look at how to outline the elements. This is in instruction 1, or part 1. Instruction 1, 2, and 3 have us outlining elements based on their state of matter at room temperature. Alright, so here is our periodic table on Word, and we are asked to outline the two liquids at room temperature. The two liquids are mercury here and bromine here. So how I'm going to outline those, so I'm going to go up to Insert, and I want to grab a shape. And I'm going to pick the square shape because these are squares in the periodic table, and I'm going to draw out something roughly the size of the square on the periodic table. Modify the size a little bit here, and then what I want to do to make sure it's outlined. Right now it's a fill, but what I want to do to make sure it's an outline is go up to Shape Fill, and I want to select No Fill. Now my outline is not very thick right now, so I'm going to go to the outline and go down to Weight. I'm going to pick a much thicker outline, something that's going to really stand out on the page, so whoever's grading it, it'd be me, knows what I'm looking for. Alright, finally, they want the liquids to be color blue. I suppose this is color blue, but I'm going to change the color to something that stands out a little bit more. I'm going to go with this brighter blue. There we go. There is mercury. To do the same thing for bromine, the other liquid, I'm going to right click on my box. I'm going to copy it, right click off the page, paste it, drag that over and put it over bromine. And now I have my two liquids on the periodic table outlined in blue. The next part, step 2, has us outlining the gases at room temperature. So same thing, I'm going to right click copy, right click paste. Nitrogen is one of those gases. There's quite a few gases, quite a few more than there are liquids. I'm going to drag that over, I'm going to outline nitrogen, and then again I want to go up here to Shape Outline and choose red. They want us to outline the gases in red. And then I continue that process for the other 10 gases on the periodic table. And that's how we're going to outline the elements. Alright, part 2 of our activity has us adding numbers to the periods and families. So let's take a look at how to add numbers to our periodic table. So here is our periodic table. Yours should have a few more boxes outlined because you should have done all the gases, but this is where I left off. And in order to add numbers, what I'm going to do is go up to Insert, and I'm going to go over to Text Box. I'm just going to grab my standard text box here, and I'm just going to put the number 1. Make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to add shape. I want no fill. And outline, same thing. I want no outline on this box, and that way there's not a box around it. And I can put that right there. Now I have period number 1. If I wanted to make that a little bit bigger, so it matches the text, make it bold. If you want to change the color, you can do all that again by highlighting the number, and then all your options for being bold, color, highlighting, any of that pops up. Feel free to take a look at that stuff and play around with as much as you like. Once I get what I want with my number 1, I'm going to copy, right click, paste. I'm going to drag that down, and I'm going to make that number 2 for the second period. So here's period 2. And you do that all the way to number 7 down here at the bottom with francium. And then it has you labeling the groups, numbering the groups. Very similarly, we're going to copy, right-click copy, right-click paste. Whoops, I accidentally grabbed the periodic table and copy that. I don't want that. I can hit Control Z, take me back a step here. Make sure I grab my numbers, copy, and paste. Just like with the periods, we start the periods top to bottom. Our families, or our groups, go 1 through 18 across the top. So it's number 1. I want my number 2 right here. 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to number 18 over here over the noble gases. And that's how you'll add your numbers to the periodic table. Alright, next up, part 6 has us drawing a bold black line over the stair step. Back to my periodic table. To draw that line on the stair step, I'm going to insert shapes. I'm going to choose my line. So shapes, I'm going to choose my line. And it starts under boron. So there's my line. Now I really need to thicken this up. It's way too thin. So I'm going to come up here to shape outline and choose black. It wanted black. Go back again and choose weight. And I'm going to choose a really thick line here. They wanted something super thick. So there's one. But we want the stair step line. This is just one of the stairs. So I need to copy, right-click copy, right-click paste. And I need to continue that stair step line down here between aluminum and silicone. And then again, it's a stair step, so we're going to zigzag the stair step all the way down the periodic table. So you can start to see the stair step. The next line here would be between AS and SB. And then stair step down, stair step down, stair step down. And that's how you do the stair step. Again, make sure it's a nice thick black line, otherwise it won't show up. Next, let's take a look at how to add a texture. So on parts 7, 8, and 9, they want you to add texture to the metals, metalloids, and nonmetals. So let's take a look and see how best to do that. Alright, so back to the periodic table here. By now mine should look drastically different from yours. A lot more incomplete, hopefully, than what yours looks like. So in order to add texture, I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to grab a shape. I'm going to choose that rectangle again. I'm going to drag something out over most of the metals. Now in order to add this texture, I'm going to right-click on it and go down to Format Shape. And that opens up this whole window over here on the right. So I'm going to right-click, went down to Format Shape, and that's how I got this over here on the right. Now I want to add texture, which is shown here. So I click that option, and then I get to choose different textures. I'm going to choose this one just because it kind of looks like a metal to me. Now this is important. You want to make sure, so if you just go with the texture, you won't be able to see the periodic table behind it. So you want to go down here to transparency, and you want to up that probably at least to 40%. I'm going to go ahead and go to 50%. And that way I've got my image, but I can still see the periodic table and the elements behind the image. Now this isn't all the metals. So I'm going to right-click and copy, right-click and paste. I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to knock out these top 4 up here. Get the texture to fit over those, clicking and dragging. Again, don't get hydrogen. He's not a metal. I'm going to copy. I'm going to paste again. Again, I don't want anything that touches that stair step line, with the exception of aluminum. Aluminum is a metal. But otherwise, nothing that touches that stair step line should be considered a metal. So that's how I would grab my metals to make sure I identify that I have those metals. Again, make sure you have the texture over here. Whoops. Didn't want the whole picture to be textured. Again, Control Z. We'll undo that last little bit. Make sure you have transparency set around 50% so that you can still see the periodic table through the back of the elements there. After adding texture, we're asked to add colors to the different groups or different families on the periodic table. So let's go over very quickly how to add colors. It's actually going to be very similar to how we added texture. So to add colors, again, I'm going to go to Insert, I'm going to grab a shape, and I want that rectangle. Most of the colors we're working with today, most of the shapes we're working with today are kind of in that rectangle shape. I'm going to put my rectangle. Step 10 says we want to cover the alkali metals, so I'm going to cover up the alkali metals. It says I want a red line, so I'm going to go to Shape Fill and choose red. And I also want to go to Shape Outline and also choose red, otherwise it's going to look goofy. I guess you could also go No Outline. That way we don't have an outline. Either way, we don't want like a blue outline around our red box. Make sure it's just over the alkali metals. And then again, I want to come over here to the right. If you don't have this window open, you can right click, go to Format Shape, and that should open this window over here on the right. I want to add transparency up to about 50%. I want to make sure I can see my elements through that. I'll go up to 55% here, and that way I can make sure to see my elements through the color. And we'll copy it, paste it, and bring it over in front of the next group. This is my alkaline earth metals. Now for this family, we wanted orange. We're going to change that color, go up to Shape Fill, and I choose orange. So there's my orange family. Again, if you didn't get rid of your outlines, you'll have to make sure you go to Shape Outline, and you probably just want to choose No Outline on that. Hopefully at this point, your periodic table is looking a lot more complete than mine is. I only worked through a couple of the steps, but hopefully you guys have a much more complete looking periodic table. And I think I've covered all the different tasks you'll be asked to do on this LT, all the different word tasks. So hopefully you're comfortable with it. And again, if you have something different on your Word document, if you have a Mac or some such thing, always feel free to ask me if you need a little bit of help. All right, good luck, and hopefully enjoy this project.